This is the BiggerPockets Podcast, show 230.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
What's going on, everybody? This is Josh Dorkin, host of the BiggerPockets Podcast, here with my co-host, Mr. Brandon Turner. What's going on, man?
Hey, not much. How you doing? Good to have you back on the podcast.
I'm okay. Yeah, thank you. It's been a few shows.
Yeah, you know.
What was I missed?
I don't think so. You know.
Oh.
A couple of people said that Scott Trench did really good, though.
Wow.
So.
Well, I mean, Scott doing well, has nothing to do with me, does it?
Scott
trying to make me feel bad?
Trying to make you feel horrible. You're good. No,
wow.
You're good.
Wow.
It's good to have you back. Today's show especially reminds me why.
It was a great show.
It was a great show. It reminds me of how good you are at this. You know, you're not a bad podcaster.
That is the first nice thing you've said about me in about 3 months.
Thank you. You know, I try to put it on my calender once every 3 months to say something nice about you. But
nice.
No, today's show was fantastic. It was funny. It was
quarterly comment.
Yeah,
compliment.
Quarterly compliment. Yeah, it was a really, really good show. As you know,
yeah.
I mean, we loved it. We got into a lot of stuff about like side hustle real estate. In other words, what if real estate's not your full-time job? What if it's your side hustle? How do you make that work? And especially Seth Mosley is our guest today, talks about the virtual assistant. Like when he talks about that, like,
yeah, that's amazing.
Unbelievably good idea. And also his like acrostic, or is that what you call him? Acrostic?
That's what he calls it. I
don't know. Whatever that thing's called, like
word,
for side hustle was amazing. Yeah. So yeah, listen up, people.
Yeah,
really
definitely. And it's good for pretty much everybody in real estate as well.
Yeah. By the way, I heard I heard you about an RV.
I went out and got me an RV. Yeah.
It's pretty awesome looking. I saw a picture on your Instagram, and have you used it yet? I mean, are you
we went out this weekend. We went out this weekend and we boondocked.
Wow, boondocked. What does that even mean?
So like, it was the holiday weekend, so
yep.
It was Memorial Day, and every campsite in the state was booked. Literally every site that you could book was booked. So we went out and we're like, oh, well, let's explore and see if we could find something. So we're driving through this like national forest and, just trying to find a spot that you can just camp and crazy stuff. We got stuck in mud. We had to like reverse backward down this super curvy, muddy road at like 9,000 feet. Because it was just a hot mess up there, and had to back up through this thing, which in a 25.5 foot vehicle with no glass behind you is challenging. But it was fun. The kids loved it. My wife loved it. It was a great time. And thank you for asking. And you just celebrated a birthday. Your daughter is now 1.
My daughter is now 1. We had a birthday party. My wife went all out for it, and my little girl had a good time eating her smash cake, as they call it, apparently, when
that was
baby
cute.
Smashes it. Yeah.
That was cute. And you did this bathroom remodel you're super proud of, right?
I did a bathroom. I remodeled my entire upstairs bathroom, my vanity. I use this stuff, though. This is the cool stuff anyway. It's like this wooden tile. It's actually reclaimed wood from like old like
it's
barns
cool
and
looking.
stuff. Yeah, and they actually mesh all this stuff together. It looks like a pallet wall, but tiny little pieces of wood. Anyway, company, I'll give a shout out to them. I have no affiliation, but E&S Tile. Amazing stuff. E&S Tile. They're on Instagram. That's how kind of I got excited about it. I saw their pictures on Instagram, and it's amazing. So check it out. Both, you can check out Josh's cool RV, and you can check out my cool little bathroom remodel and Rosie's birthday pictures at our Instagram. What's your Instagram? It's at JR Dorkin, right?
I think it's JR Dorkin.
Yeah, mine's
yours is Beardy Brand. Beardy. And of course, you should be following BiggerPockets on Instagram at BiggerPockets.
Yeah. We've put a lot of stuff on Instagram. I'm a big Instagram fan, you know?
I'm starting to get to know it. It's been like a month or two, and people go crazy on that thing, man. It's really popular. So
it's so much better than like I feel like Facebook, because there's no like political arguments on there. Like that's what I like about it.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's
I go there to be my happy place, and I go to Facebook to be argumentative. Anyway,
get angry. Yes. All right, guys. So we have an unbelievable show, as Brandon mentioned. Before we get into it, for those of you guys who are listeners of the show, if you have not yet left us a rating, review on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, wherever you're listening, please do so. That really, really does help us. And before we get into the show, let's bring in today's quick tip.
was the worst ever.
That was terrible. All right. Today's quick tip is go to the BiggerPockets events page at biggerpockets.com/events, and you can find a local real estate networking event in your area. There's RIAs, there's smaller networking events and other types of events happening. Just go on there.
You can even make your own.
And you can make your own, exactly. So if there's no event in your area, or if there are events in your area that you don't like, or whatever the reason is, just go to biggerpockets.com/events and you can create your own event. And we talk later in the show about why you might want to start your own. Yeah. It's fantastic. A really, really great tip that Seth is using to become extremely, extremely well networked. So pay attention and listen up. With that said, today's guest, Seth Mosley, is a Grammy-winning producer, songwriter, I believe, singer. The guy has sold tens of millions of albums. Very, very impressive. Wicked smart. He's real estate investing on the side, doing all sorts of really cool stuff. And he's got a lot of great things to say. So let's bring him on. Let's learn from him. Seth, welcome to the show, man. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me on. I'm a big fan. It's great to be a guest of the infamous Josh Dorkin.
Uh-oh. I'm infamous.
Infamous.
This is not a good start, particularly from somebody of your magnitude.
So, Seth, tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, you and I have been buddies for a little while now, but the rest of the BP audience might not know who you are.
We're buddies.
We're buddies. Josh just met him today. So here, actually, let me give you a little backstory. So about a year and a half ago, Seth emails both Josh and I and says, "Hey, guys, I would love to get to know you guys a little better. And, I'm a Grammy Award-winning music producer and all this cool stuff." And Josh takes it, and he takes the email, and he just clicks the little trash button or maybe spam button, one of the two, right?
Did.
But just broke it.
I think it said country music somewhere in there, which is why it went to the trash. I didn't even see the rest of it. I apologize, Seth. That was me being judgmental, and so
you judgmental.
Yeah.
No, but
this isn't awkward or anything.
Not at all. So I responded, and I ended up hanging out with Seth. I flew out to Nashville. We hung out for a couple of days, and now me and him are BFFs, and Josh is on the outside.
Yeah, clearly, I'm on the list, huh?
Brandon, did you sing on a record while you were out?
No, I stood in your studio, and I listened to who was the band Unspoken.
Yeah.
The lead singer doing some stuff. Yeah. It was very cool. You wanted me to go sing the gang vocals or whatever,
but bad there?
I didn't.
Yeah, we're kind of just. This is like kind of just you just had to be there sort of moment. The thing is, Brandon left Nashville with a credit on a record for something. So
I'm not quite sure what's worse, this or when all my friends went to the White House and got to bowl in the White House bowling alley and I didn't make it.
That really happened?
Yes.
This is worse, but
I would say this is by far worse. By far.
Missed opportunity.
There you go.
All right. Brandon.
Okay, I'll start this. So tell us a little bit about yourself. I mean, before real estate investing, in a minute or less, what's your story? Yeah, and where'd you come from?
Yeah, my background, my day job is in music. Real estate has very much been my side hustle, which I don't know if that makes me an anomaly for your guests or not, but music, I started as an artist, toured for over 200 days a year, did the artist thing for about 5 years, had a record deal, had a publishing deal, saw the entire world, got to tour most continents, and eventually got burned out on that. But I met my wife through that in Sweden, which was a good thing. And so obviously when you get married, you want to slow down a little bit and get off the road. So that's what I did. And so I started a production company and transitioned to working behind the scenes on the other side of the glass, as we call it in the industry.
Nice.
So that's what I do today. I have a production company. It's Full Circle Music. And we have a label. We have a publishing company. But we also started somewhere along the way investing in real estate along the side, just like a lot of people. I think I heard you say it once that a lot of people sort of just back into it where they buy their first place and eventually end up renting that out, buy their second place, rent that out. So that's kind of our entry into it. And at somewhere along the way, we got turned on to BiggerPockets and read Rich Dad Poor Dad. And the rest was history. So
that's awesome.
And you're somebody that like people other than me have heard of, correct? I mean, you haven't sold like 6 albums like Brandon has. What was the name of that failed album, Brandon?
I did make an album actually in high school for my parents, and they still listen to it in the car.
Okay, we're talking to Seth here. So Seth, how many records have you sold through your career, or do they even call them records anymore?
Yeah, I mean it's in the tens of millions. I should have had that as a stat, but it's definitely in the high 8 figures of.
And those are things you've worked on or been a part of, written.
Yeah, exactly. We've produced. I mean, we've been a part of 2 Grammy-winning records. I got the Billboard Producer of the Year award in 2013, and CSAC Songwriter of the Year in 2014. And so it's been a really. We're just thankful to have a job doing what I love to do. So
that's amazing.
One thing I love about you. Well, I was gonna say, one thing I love about you and your story is that you love music, and so you work in that, and then you do well, and then you take that money and you put it into real estate. And I tell people that all the time. Like, if you love real estate, go do real estate. But if you love music, go do music, and then just do real estate on the side. I think that's great. So
what did you guys do in Nashville that you were able to get him on the show, Brandon? Because clearly, I don't know.
We are BFFs, like I said.
He's working down. He's working down.
We can't legally speak of those things.
Yeah, we should keep that quiet. But no. So
next time you come and you'll find out. Yeah.
Hey now.
No. So Seth tells me in this email, like I asked him what bands he's worked with or whatever, and he's like, "You've probably never heard of them." Like one of them, he says, "I wrote something for the Newsboys." Now a lot of our listeners don't know who the Newsboys are, but when I was in high school,
that's like Dan Rather, right?
The Newsboys, no, they are a band. They're a Christian band that was like my jam. I mean, like every album I listened to 1,000,000 times. So that's like, I wrote a lot of their songs and helped, produce them. Like that, I jumped on a plane pretty quickly because I'm like,
he's a fanboy.
I was a fanboy of the Newsboys. I mean, they were them and DC Talk were like the best things ever back in the day.
Yeah,
they still are.
No, same here. I grew up listening to them, so it's been that's why I called my company Full Circle Music, because it's my whole life has just been these collections of listening to people growing up, listening to them, and then getting to work with them later on. So it's awesome. It's a pretty cool thing. I'm thankful for.
Hey, cool. Seth, so you're extremely successful in the music business, doing fantastic. Why side hustle? Why even do the real estate thing as a quote side hustle? I mean, clearly you can just park your money somewhere. Why real estate, and why the quote side hustle?
Yeah, well, for one, I mean, we kind of started out like a lot of people, just, handing our money off to a financial advisor, putting in mutual funds, doing stuff like that. And I think for us, it's just, you have so little to zero, almost zero control over what happens with that. And I think I had just seen enough other people close to me just get burned in that. And our big thing has always been cash flow. I mean, we love what we do, like Brandon said, but we want to have our living essentially. If I decided I never wanted to produce another record again or sign another artist again, I wouldn't have to, because our cash flow from our real estate investments would take care of us. That's always been our vision. It still is. So every success that we have in music, we kind of just turn around and dump it into real estate, because I love the tax advantages, for one, because me as a technically a small business owner, we're the ones that get hit the worst. So for us, we love the tax advantages of real estate. I love the cash flow of real estate. It just helps us sleep a little better at night. And I know that if we didn't have a record, because music is such a roller coaster, it's like, you guys have talked to probably some athletes and stuff, but
yep.
It's so up and down. So a lot of people who are like the hottest thing ever could, the next day be nothing. So for us, I don't want to say it's motivated by fear, but I'd rather think it's just being smart. I don't know what the future of the music industry is going to be in 5 years. So we feel like we're doing the smart thing by trying to sort of diversify, so to speak, out of the music business, and just take our success there, invest it in real estate, and let that generate cash flow.
That's awesome. So all right. So you're the successful guy. You're thinking real estate's a great way to kind of bring in some decent income. how do you decide which path to take?
In terms of within real estate?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, we've started just residential because we owned our first little townhome. I had my studio in it. We ended up renting that out. So we learned residential pretty early on. We felt like it was pretty easy. We managed our first, I think, 2 to 3 units after we bought a couple more by ourselves. So I'm a big believer in just kind of invest in stuff that you know and understand and has very basic human value or human needs. So for us, commercial has never really been something I've been that interested in, aside from, owning the studio. But it's as Amazon kind of takes over and everything is going online, I just think that the physical retailers are going to get hit harder than ever and already are. Yeah. So for us, residential has just been the thing that we know, and it's hard right now. It's hard to find deals. I mean, we live in Nashville. A lot of our investments are in other cities other than Nashville, just because it's gotten so hot. It just doesn't make any sense anymore. So
yeah, Nashville is one of the highest. I think it's like one or two of the. I think it's like Denver and Nashville are like the 2 highest. Maybe Austin throw in there as well. In terms of the last couple of years have just grown. I think I heard there was like 29% in a year in Nashville or something crazy like that.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
So let's go back and talk about. So first of all, you mentioned your first deal was a house you lived in, then you moved out of it and turned it into rental, right? Is that right?
That's right.
Right. So we did a survey a while back on the BiggerPockets forums where a bunch of people all answered a few questions, and one of them was, how'd you get your first deal? And it was like 80% or something. I don't remember the exact number, but it was like 80 or 85% of people started that way, of turning their home into a primary residence. And I started that way, sort of, like after my first one, I flipped and turned it into a rental the next one. Like, do you have any advice for people who do that? Like people who are listening to the show right now thinking, I kind of want to move. I want to buy a new house. I'm not sure if I should sell mine or rent it out. Do you have any advice or tips for those people?
Well, here's what I'll say. I mean, we learned sort of backwards with what makes a really good real estate investment. Our first 2 that we bought, including the one that we lived in, wasn't necessarily maybe the best in terms of cash flow. I think we bought it. It was like a $220,000 townhome, and what we could get for rent for it was like $1,500 or $1,600. You guys talk a lot about the 1% rule. I mean, it didn't really meet that when you kind of, especially once you factor in HOA and everything. It was great for us in terms of appreciation because it shot up so much. So we did make money on it. But the thing that I'll say is just don't be too attached just because you lived in it. Like if you can have a good emotional distance from it, just view it as an investment, view it as a cash flow stream, then you're able to part with it easier. So for us, when we sold it, we were able to, 1031 it into I don't know, I think 4 or maybe 6 other units of property that cash flow way better now.
That's awesome.
That's great.
For those people who don't know what that means, a 1031 it, what did you mean by that?
So 1031 is in the tax code where you can essentially sell a piece of property and exchange it into a like kind, and the IRS lets you essentially defer paying any tax on your gain. So it's a great tool for investors to just keep upgrading and upgrading and upgrading without paying any tax on the gain.
Yeah.
He's not just a singer, folks. He also works for the IRS.
The Internal Rock Service.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. So you decided to take this 1031 it into 4 to 6 other units. Are you buying multi-units or are you buying single families? What's your MO?
Currently, it's pretty focused on multi. Again, you can the cash flow that you can get ratio wise compared to just a single family is usually so much better. We do have a few single families in our portfolio. Just, if we ever needed to sell them, we could sell them pretty easy. But I love the kind of the diversification that you get with multifamily. If you have a quadplex and one person moves out, it's not killing you,
Yeah.
So at this point, that's kind of what I'm focused on.
So let's fast forward to the end of to today, and then we'll work backwards again. We'll go back to the beginning, but like total units now, what have you got for number of units today?
So we currently have 20 doors, and That's where we're at right now.
And what's that made up of? Mostly, you said mostly multifamily. Was it one big one in there? Any like, what's the biggest in there?
No, it's the biggest that we have in there is a fourplex.
Okay.
So it's a lot of duplexes, several duplexes. There's a few single families. There's one fourplex, and that's really it.
And where are you? And where are they? Although you said some are in Nashville, but some are other places.
Some are in Nashville. We have some in Chattanooga. We've really liked that market lately. It's been a good, I guess a good place to look when deals are not there in Nashville. We have a few in Memphis, and then we have 4 units up in Clarksville, Tennessee as well.
Okay, so all of them are within a few hours drive of you. I don't know how big Tennessee is, but
yeah, all of them. The farthest would be Memphis, so that's a 3-hour drive over there.
Okay. And what about like these properties? Did you buy them all like through turnkey companies, or did you go research it yourself? And how'd that come about?
Funny enough, I've bought 2 of them through a good turnkey company in Memphis. I'm definitely a fan of that model, especially if you're looking to be 100% hands off. What I found is the returns maybe aren't as typically as good, but you really have to do nothing on it. So a couple of them were through that, but the rest were through just sort of relationships. I'm a big believer in team and just going and building a team. So with Chattanooga, we, myself, along with my broker in Nashville, just took a trip over there and met with several, brokers. And one of them was a property manager, runs about 300 to 400 units over there, kind of a family business. So the first deal I found in Chattanooga, for a while, I was using virtual assistants literally just to do market research. And all they were doing was just scouring the MLS and RealTracs or whatever. And they would analyze all these deals and send me a Google Doc once a week. And the first deal I bought in Chattanooga was off of that.
Really?
Can
you explain that a little more in detail?
I want to dig in on that for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's funny. I think we bought 2 deals like that. They would essentially send me, I trained them. I think it was a guy I think he was in Malaysia. Wow. And I sent him essentially what we look for in terms of criteria, sent him our Excel sheet, which was essentially our investment calculator, similar to what you guys have on BiggerPockets Pro membership.
Yep.
So I sent him that, and he would just run deals. He would call the agents for me and get the property taxes. What were the utilities on it? Was it currently managed? Does it currently have tenants in it? And he would just put it all into a Google sheet for me and would send it to me once a week. And then once I found one that I felt like met my criteria, then I would send it to our broker and property manager in Chattanooga. She'd go check it out. And the first one we did was through that. So, and that's been a good property. It's ended up, bringing in some pretty good returns.
I love that.
Seth, yeah, that's fantastic. Anyone listening, like if you're talking about, I can't do this, I don't have the time, do what Seth did. He and there's sites like Upwork where you can really quickly and easily find virtual assistants to do this kind of stuff for you. When you talk, you had mentioned flying your broker and building your team. Could we talk about that for a quick second? So
yeah,
what did your team look like at the time?
I mean, really, my team was essentially me, my wife, and our broker and our virtual assistant, and then our property manager / broker over in Chattanooga. On that deal, that was really all you need. I always say start with a property manager first because they're the ones that have to deal with it. I kind of learned the hard way on one deal where I bought, and I kind of found the deal. I think it was through that same method, just through searching MLS with virtual assistants. I had ran it. The numbers looked great. And then I got into the deal, made an offer. And then by the time I was in the deal, pretty far along, I was like, I should probably have my property manager go look at it. And they went and checked it out, and they were like, sure, we'll do it. I could tell they weren't like maybe 100% pumped with it, but I was like, they could probably make it work, But to me, if all you have starting out as a broker and a property manager, that's kind of all you need. I mean, you eventually want to add, obviously, your accountant, your bookkeeper as things grow.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, you're just getting started out. The property manager, to me, is everything.
Why fly the broker out? Was it to help you vet the brokers locally on the ground? Was that the reason, or did
no?
You
He went over with me. I mean, he works with a lot of investors outside of me, and he's the guy that I co-founded my investors meetup in Nashville with.
Got it.
Who also plays for that band that Brandon sang on his record. So.
Oh yeah, Mike.
Did you actually sing on somebody's record?
No, not official. Well, no.
He sang in the room.
Yeah,
we at least gave him credit for it.
Get out of here! Wow, nobody's gonna buy that album. I'm sorry to tell you.
Haven't they sold like a lot of albums? I don't know. They're a big band.
I think that one sold. That song's probably sold 200,000-300,000 by now.
So.
Hey, Brandon, have you been collecting royalties on that?
I have not been getting royalties on that. I got to make.
Well, this is a good opportunity to negotiate that while we're on the air here with Seth. So
you need to register with AFTRA, and you could actually get paid for it. So.
That's funny.
Oh, hey now. All right. You mentioned something in passing just now, which Brandon and I had talked about, and I want to dig in on that. So you had talked. I mean, I know, guys, we're all over the place, but this is how it goes. It bounces around. You talked about starting an investment club with this guy.
Yeah.
Why would you start an investment club? I mean, I'm sure there were other clubs in the area. Why do you say, hey, it's time for me to go and do this?
Well, I think it was, I had come from another real estate event and just honestly had seen my success and my associations, my relationships, just people I could call for feedback, just go through the roof just since meeting people through that. So to me, everything is relational. And in Nashville, we have RIA, we have REN, we have a lot of the meetups, the same that a lot of cities have. And me and my wife had went to them for a while, but none of them were very focused on education and networking. It was all kind of plugging deals. Here's what I got. And we felt like it was a little bit self-serving. So we wanted to start our own that did it differently, and we were just very open-handed with relationships, with education. That's bringing in guys like, yourself, Brandon, to come and speak to our group.
I wasn't invited.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Next time. But honestly, the relationships that I have just from starting that, and same with my partner, Michael, who we started it with. I mean, his business has shot through the roof since we've started it. He has 9 brokers that are working underneath him now, and is servicing a lot of investors. So I think for us, it was just a, start, give first. We never really sell anything. That's kind of one of our rules at the group. Nothing's ever run to the back of the room kind of deal.
Yep.
So we have tried really hard to protect that. And on a selfish level, I get to hang out with speakers that come. Like for me, it's like hanging out, with guys like you and some of my other real estate mentors, like for the day surrounding it is huge.
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
It's purely a relational thing for me.
So, we mentioned upfront in the quick tip, but I'm going to mention it again here. This is a brilliant idea. Even if there are groups in your area, having your own group. Now, obviously, not everybody in an area is going to have a group, and not everybody's built to actually run a group. But creating a group puts you at the center, right?
Yep.
And there's something extremely powerful about that, because it does tend to help you make additional relationships. It does help you build trust. Obviously, don't abuse it, but it helps you build trust. It helps you build connections. So for those people listening, if there's no groups in your area, we definitely recommend starting one. If there is a group in your area and it's not great, start your own group. If there's a few and they're, so start your own group. It's a good opportunity to get out there and meet people. As we mentioned before, go to BiggerPockets/events, and you can actually promote the group and get other people to show up. What advice would you give to somebody who's looking to do that? And any tips on how to run a good group?
Well, there's 2 things I'd throw out. Number one is if there's no to piggyback on what you just said, if there's no door, then just build one. Yep. I'm a big believer in that. I'm also a big believer in just get started and get fancy later. It's a little counterintuitive for me being a being in production, music production, perfectionist. Like, we want the first thing to be amazing. Like, but our first group, we literally started in a coffee shop in the back room. They didn't charge us any rent. It was just, 18 people that I had texted. All of them showed up. I didn't think that was going to happen. But, and then it's turned into, I think we had 70 people show up at our last one. So
awesome.
And we've been able to get, local sponsors, but don't start with trying to think you have to have everything together in production, signage, logo. I mean, you don't have to have all that stuff, but just get started. I'm a big believer in Facebook. Facebook page, start a Facebook page. You can run ads and promote your events and boost posts and things like that. We do Facebook lives at all of our events too. So I would say for people out there thinking about starting and really take advantage of the built-in stuff for free that Facebook gives you to promote it, and use BiggerPockets. Definitely use that as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I love that. Well, cool. Well, let's go back to talking about your real estate deals again. And when you look for a property now, what are you looking for? Like, what's your criteria that says, yeah, that's a good deal?
Yeah, just in specifics in terms of numbers?
Sure, yeah. I mean, are you looking for a certain type of cash flow or cash return, or how do you kind of decide?
Yeah, so if it's a deal that's across our table, we really try to stay pretty close to 15% cash on cash return.
Okay.
After reserves are taken out, after money set aside, after property managers and principal, tax, interest, insurance, all that stuff, about 15%. We don't necessarily look for appreciation that much. It's always a little bit of icing on the cake. Higher priced properties are always good just for the depreciation element of it.
Can you explain that?
Well, you want to buy the if your strategy is for depreciation, because you can depreciate a residential property over 27 and a half years. That's a huge thing for people out there who are needing a tax shelter for their passive income. So, I mean, the more expensive a property you buy, the more depreciation you can take every year over that 27 and a half years. So, that's always a thing. I mean, we have done the, $60,000 properties before if the cash flow is good enough, but I think at this point we're looking to get into bigger deals with more doors, higher dollar, just so we can really maximize the depreciation.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And that's and really the only other criteria is we have to be in a market where I have a good team. The market has to have fundamentals, and I don't really do anything in like any market that's like smaller than like 100,000 or 200,000 people, preferably, just for stability. So
you're not going to come out and invest in Podunk, Washington?
I'm not going to invest in Podunk, Washington.
Oh. Hey, what about like fixers? Are you buying, finished properties, or are you actually rehabbing these things up?
We do a little bit of rehab, as long as I've got, again, my property managers usually oversee all of that. But nothing that's ever been like a gut. The only thing we've done like that have been the turnkey deals where they've completely rehabbed the whole thing and then we just buy it from them.
Got it.
Sure, makes sense.
Awesome.
We always joke in my family, my wife, she's very much the handyman, and I'm not allowed to hang anything. It's pretty embarrassing, actually. So
That's
awesome.
All right. Well, so you talked about, I really want to talk about this topic of the part-time investor thing, because you talked about already the virtual assistant. I think that's fantastic. And one thing I especially love about that is, so if people attend the BiggerPockets webinars, you'll know what I'm about to say, because I say it every single week. But this idea that real estate isn't so much about like doing this one thing, like I'm going to go send out 1,000 direct mail letters. It's about a process where if you send out 1,000 direct mail letters every single month, it's like processes that get you success, not one-time events, right? So what I love about hiring like a virtual assistant is, even though we all know if you were to go on the MLS and start, searching for properties and then analyzing them, calling up the brokers, getting the deals, running the numbers, determining how much to pay, and then making those offers. We all know that that works. But the problem is none of us do that because we're busy, right? Most of us like have jobs and family and life. But when you get somebody else to do that, like it takes 90% of the workload off of you. So somebody else is working your processes, and then you just do the part that you do, right? So again, I love that. But what else? Other tips do you have for people who work a full-time job or own their own business and they want to invest in real estate on the side?
I think there's several things I always talk about. I mean, I actually came up with a little, even an acrostic for it for side hustle. Sure. That I sort of have shared with some of the people from our group. But I always say you got to set the stage, your personal investment philosophy, write it down. Know, just like you asked, like why do I invest in real estate? What's my criteria? You have to know that stuff before you go into it. Otherwise, every deal that comes across your table, you're going to be looking at. But it's a good way to just filter really quickly. So you have to know your philosophy. So set the stage. You got to identify your goals and criteria. You have to delegate. That's a big thing if you're doing it as a side hustle. You have to have the right team. And again, virtual assistants. I mean, that's like the most amazing thing. You mentioned Upwork. I used to use one called Elance, which I think is up. I think it's Upwork now.
Might be.
But
yeah.
So I'm a big believer in Upwork. You got to make it easy. Like the big thing with a lot of us is, as people doing it on the side, is we don't have our financial documents all in one place. Like every time we go to apply for financing or something, it's like, oh, I got to get my last 2 months of blah, blah, blah tax returns. And it always takes forever. So if you can just, that's kind of like a no-brainer thing, but a lot of people, including myself, have not had that together. And then when it comes time to get the deal, it takes you forever to compile everything. So just make it easier on yourself by having all your stuff in just like one Dropbox folder or a Google Drive or something like that. So
man, I don't know why
a few things.
I don't know why I don't have that right now. like I have all my paperwork just in drawers, but I should have all of my tax returns and everything in one Google Drive folder. Like my entire life's in Google Drive. Why don't I have that? I don't know. I never thought about it before. So then when I need to apply for a loan, it's just I share that folder with the lender and let them take what they want from it.
What's your password, Brandon?
All right, I'm setting that up today because that's huge. All right, so by the way, I really like the side hustles. Do you remember the hustles? The side is okay. So set the stage, identify,
delegate, and ease. Make it easy.
All right. So what's hustle?
Hustle is hire a good bookkeeper. Trust me, it's worth it.
Yeah. I made this mistake in the beginning. Like I never hired a bookkeeper, and to this day, I still struggle with my bookkeeping because I don't have that. Like I didn't have somebody set it up in the beginning.
Here's what's funny. Brandon has been complaining about bookkeeping at least the 4 years that we've been doing the show. And he's always like, oh, I'm going to do it. Hey, hold on. I promise you, at the end of the show, I'm going to have a bookkeeper hired. I'm doing it.
I tried like 3 times. Finally, nobody could do what I needed them to do. I even went to a bookkeeper and he laughed at me.
Are there really that few people in Podunk who know how to do 6+7?
I'm not kidding. I brought it to this bookkeeper and he goes, no, man, no. That's what he said to me. Like he wouldn't even take my books. Anyway, we have it in house now. My assistant actually does all the books and it's fine. But
that's good.
But I'm still overseeing her. So when she has questions, she has to ask me versus a bookkeeper who just hopefully knows how to do the books. So anyway,
yeah.
All right, hire a bookkeeper.
Hire a bookkeeper. Hire a property manager. I mean, you just really again, that goes back to the team thing. But just hire those, get them in place. Hire a good one too. I think a lot of people cheap out in this area and they're like, okay, who can I get the best deal on? When you should really just be like, who's going to do it the best? Because ultimately the ones that are going to give you the best deal, quote unquote, are the cheapest ones. They're probably going to cost you money in the long run because they're not going to have their crap together and it's just going to be a mess. So hire you as upgrade. If don't look for the cheapest property manager, look for the best one. And along that note, hire slow, fire fast. If you're not happy with your current people, just fire them, move on to the next one.
Can I upgrade my co-host?
You can upgrade him. I'll apply for the position.
Seth, you're hired.
Wait, that was a really fast hire. Hire slow.
Hire fast, slow. Oh, damn it.
You've already got it backwards.
All right. Hire good bookkeeper, upgrade, and then S.
Stay. I have to say stay. Stay with one asset class. Pick one and stick to it.
Yep.
A lot of people are like, oh, I think I'll buy a duplex, and then I'll buy an industrial park, and then I'll buy
shiny. Squirrel.
Yep.
Exactly. So manage your ADD. T, I put 10 to your properties. You got to make sure that your managers are doing regular, just routine maintenance. Again, a lot of this stuff's kind of no brainer, but we just, as a side hustle, you don't think about it because it's like, oh crap, I forgot I got to, fix the HVAC or maintain it or whatever, So just make sure that you're in regular communication with them and just even have like good checklists that this happens. Again, you said processes. I love that. Just having them every 6 months. This happens. Have
you read the Checklist Manifesto, either of you?
Yep.
It's a good book.
I haven't,
book.
but yeah. I just wrote it down.
There you go.
Nice.
The
Wow,
Checklist
that
Manifesto.
fast.
And then there's just the two more is legal. You got to make sure that your entity structure is properly set up. This one's probably has the most like gray area and people that would argue over it. Like, what's the proper, like, should I put my stuff in LLCs? How do you protect it? And if you ask any attorney, they'll tell you to. If you ask an accountant, they'll tell you not to. It's just, Yeah. But for me, if it's a side hustle, I want to make sure that my music ventures are in no way affected by anything that happens in any one of my properties.
Yeah. So, and you've got other things going on. You've got wealth already outside of what you're doing here. A lot of people who come in, they don't have a lot of money in their bank account. The discussion is going to be a lot different than somebody who has wealth or a business or other net worth to start with. But obviously, talk to your accountant and your lawyer to get advice on what to do there.
Exactly.
I think on that note, real quick, like that's probably the number one question I get from people all the time is, what do I do about entity thing? And my kind of answer is like, I mean, first of all, we don't know. We're not lawyers or CPAs. However, like if that's what's stopping you from getting involved in real estate, make a decision and just do it, right? Like, don't be like, oh, I've been wanting to get in real estate for months now. I just don't know what to do about the LLC thing. Like, schedule an appointment today with a lawyer, get it taken care of, and tomorrow you can just go invest in real estate. But people just use it as an excuse, I think, because it's a lot easier to say, oh, I don't know what to do about my LLC than it is to say I'm afraid to buy a piece of real estate.
Like the bookkeeper thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Exactly.
It's all excuses. It's all excuses. All right. So legal.
What's the E?
And E
is just execute. Keywords prioritization. If you're going to make it happen. I mean, I think people plan for X and live like they want Y. So you need to wake up early. And if you can't find time to do it, I'm a big believer in that. You guys had Miracle Morning guy on your show. I loved that. Yeah, I got turned on to that. So just prioritizing, making time. And again, the calendar, like your calendar will tell me if you're a real estate investor. So don't just say you are, just put it on your calendar and make time for it to happen.
Yeah.
That's cool.
That's my acrostic.
I like
Set
it.
the stage, identify criteria, delegate and easy, and then hire, upgrade, stay with one asset class, or let's say 10 to your properties, legal, and execute. Fantastic, man. That's really unbelievably great.
Yeah, that's cool. All right.
Should I write a book, Brandon?
You should write a book, and we'll call it Side Hustle by Seth Mosley. This is a great idea.
Hustle.
Do it,
Coming
man.
out, BiggerPockets Publishing 2019.
Always looking for new authors.
We are.
Seth Mosley.
What's the URL? Do you know, Josh, the URL if people want to pitch a book to BiggerPockets Publishing? I think it's
Kimberly at BiggerPockets, maybe.
You can email Kimberly. I think she actually has a page. Like, I think it might be /authors. Let me BiggerPockets.com.
Yeah.
Authors. Anyway,
you're gonna write it. You're gonna write it for me, though, right?
Exactly. I write the whole thing. I'm a ghostwriter. That's what I do. All right.
While he's looking that up, so bringing this all back together before we move on to the next part of the show here, what's your biggest mistake in real estate so far?
I'll use I kind of briefly touched on it before, but I bought a property that was an 8-unit. I would say it's probably a D class, which again, I probably would not ever buy one of those again. Knock on wood. but I bought it without. I've made an offer on it, got it under contract without having a property manager go walk through it, check it out, look up all the stuff surrounding it, and we ended up holding it for about a year trying to get it fixed up. It ended up just being so much trouble and cost a ton of money, and we ended up just kind of fire selling it for a little bit less than we paid for it. So that was my one and only time that I've lost a decent amount of money in real estate. But to me, that was my kind of hell story of just having that terrible property. But I feel like I would have avoided it if I had just, number one, had a property manager in place on the first end of it. If you're going to do any low end property, you either have to just have tons of time on your hands, or you have to have a property manager who knows that inside and out and loves doing that.
That's not always going to save you, because I got burned even though I had that on the low end stuff. So I think, to your point, stay away from the super low end unless you're handy and have lots and lots of resources to plow into said low end property.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So you win, and you win or you learn. So
yeah,
awesome.
Education. So, by the way, going back, if people have book ideas they want to pitch to BiggerPockets Publishing, biggerpockets.com/author, AUTHOR. So, cool. All right. So before we head on to the fire round, Seth, where are you headed, do you think, with your real estate investing? Like, what's the next 5, 10, 20 years look like?
I think for me, it's we've talked a little bit about this, but the syndication thing, now that we have our group of investors, I think a lot of them are kind of like, again, I never wanted to start a group to sell deals or pitch deals or anything, but it's sort of naturally turned into people coming to me and me and Michael and saying, hey, do you have anything I can invest in? And so far we've just been we haven't been able to help anybody with that. So, I think syndication is going to be the next stage of it. I actually, to contradict my S part of the side hustle.
I was about to call you out too, which is awesome.
Yep.
Stay
exactly.
Class.
So we've been in it for, I don't know, 5-6 years. So I feel like we're okay. But we're interested in mobile home parks. So we've talked a little bit about this, just really kind of out of necessity. Multifamily is what I would love to do, but where it's at right now, people just aren't buying deals, and if they are, they scare me a little bit to get into it as an investor. But syndication definitely, I think, is going to be the next phase of it, just bringing some other folks along for some of the things that we're doing.
That's awesome.
And I think you're not really violating your own stay thing. It's I think it's more like, hey, I just flipped a house. Oh, now I'm going to buy and hold a house. Oh, now I'm going to go and wholesale a house. Oh, now I'm going to go but stay with one, figure out what you're doing, get really good at it, is kind of what you're saying with your stay, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Just focus.
Yeah.
Because there's no way to get good at something without just putting in your 10,000 hours, and you're not going to get it if you're hopping from one thing to the next.
That's so true. So true.
Cool.
All right, well, hey, that was awesome. So we're not done, though. We got some more questions coming up. We got the fire round next. We got the famous four. And then after this, we've got the random five, which we'll do a little bit later. But first, let's head over to the world famous fire round.
It's time for the fire round.
So let's get to the fire round questions. These questions come direct out of the BiggerPockets forums, which means our actual users over there in the forums, which is free to use, by the way, are asking questions, and we want to see what Seth has to say to answer them. So number one, with the market at an all-time high, should I start selling off my rental properties or hold on to them longer?
I think that depends on your personal investment philosophy. Mine is to just never sell. We sold our first few because we sort of learned what our criteria were after the fact.
Yep.
But other than that, I think our philosophy is just, never sell. So to me, markets are going to have ups and downs unless you feel like you're selling to 1031 it into something better. If you can find something that's better, then to me, there's no reason to sell it. It's just, if you're not happy with it, sell it. And I also love the zero-based thinking. I mean, knowing what you know now, would you buy this property today? And if not, if you're having trouble with it, then sell it. That's really.
You told me that, I don't know, 3 months ago or something like that. You said that exact thing to me. And that changed my thinking a lot, because I started looking at my properties going, I wouldn't buy this one and this one again based on what I know now. So I'm selling both those because they don't make good cash flow, but I have some equity I can put into something else. So anyway, you changed my thinking on that a lot. I like that.
Do I get a percentage for that?
I'll give you a high five or something.
How do you apply that on a property that's appreciated? So you got in early, you bought it, let's say you paid $200,000 over a few years, the thing's gone up to $300K. At $300K, it doesn't make sense as a cash flow investment anymore if you were to buy it at that price, but at 200 made a lot of sense. How does that kind of line of thinking working in an example like that?
I mean, it's all what is it worth on paper? I mean, the utility of it doesn't change. I think you're going to inherently have that in terms of dollar values, and if you need the cash, or if you have something better that you can 1031 it into, then take advantage of that. But if not, I mean, in 10 years from now, if the market crashes, it's still going to be a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, and somebody will pay you something for it. And so I don't know. I'm just not, I don't really pay too much attention, me personally, to appreciation.
Yeah.
And I know everybody's got different investment philosophies, but I always try to encourage people to not bank their careers or their investing careers on that. It just, to me, is the more conservative way to go about it.
I agree. I like that method. All right. Next question. I have about $27,000 in mostly credit card debt and have about $700 a month extra each month in income above my expenses. So, should I spend the next couple of years paying off that debt or invest in real estate instead? Shopaholic.
Man, I hate credit card debt, so I would say pay off the credit card debt. Yeah. I think there's. I'm from Dave Ramsey land. I live. Actually, can see Dave Ramsey's house from my house, but he would tell you the same thing. He would say pay off the credit card debt, and I would agree with him.
Nice. Right on. I agree. And you should go knock on his door and ask him to come on the BiggerPockets podcast.
I should get him on.
By the way, if anybody listening to the show knows Dave, or close members of his family, we will use whatever leverage we need to get him on the show. I would love to have him state his case.
We'd love to have Dave.
We would love to have Dave. So
I met him at a Titans game once, so I'll see if I can get invited to his thing.
Go back to the game.
I'll go back and see if I can get him.
Nice. All right, next question. I have about $150,000 to invest. Is it too much of a jump to get started by buying an apartment complex instead of starting small?
No, not at all. I think, well, if it kills you, if it goes south, then it probably is too big of a jump. But if it's just $150,000 that's just laying around, where if you lost it all learning, then would it kill you? And if it didn't, then no, I wouldn't think it's too big of a jump at all, because I feel like you guys have talked about it on the show some, that, I mean, it's really the same amount of work to manage and to own a 50 unit or 100 unit property as it is to own and manage a single family, because it's all about scale. And so, I mean, honestly, like, I wish I would have started with more units, It's kind of the same principle.
Well, let's transition that to our last question, which is, if you could go back in time to when you started out, what would you do differently?
Oh, man. I think it all goes back to the team thing, the relational element of it. I started the investors group after I had already been doing it. I guess I wish I would have started that before. I wish I would have focused more on, like, the criteria, figuring out what stuff works for us. Why are we in this long term? And established a good team before we even bought our first deal. But it's ready, fire, aim for me. So
nice.
I don't have a ton of regrets, honestly. I mean, that the only regret that I have is that 8 unit. But even then, you learn. So
yeah. When I look at the crappy properties I own, I don't regret them. I wouldn't buy them again today, but I don't regret them because they taught me so much stuff that's going to help me out later. So
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
very cool.
Right on.
All right,
Cool.
well, let's head over to the next segment of the show, which we call our
Famous four.
Yeah.
All right, these are the same 4 questions we ask every guest every single week. And Seth, I know you've heard the show, so you probably know what's coming. But number 1, what's your favorite real estate related book?
I'm gonna be cliche and just say Rich Dad Poor Dad, even though it's not technically a real estate book. It got my mind thinking in that way.
Cool.
Right on. Favorite business book, non-real estate.
One Thing, Gary Keller.
Yep. Excellent book.
Right on. Very good. Hobbies. What do you do for fun outside of music, outside of real estate?
Pretty much hanging out with my family. That's anything that involves family stuff. I don't know if that counts as a hobby or if that's just,
Sure it does.
but anything that's family related. We love going to Sweden. My wife is from Sweden, so we're kind of travel junkies. We travel a ton and love snowboarding. So
Nice.
Nice.
Where do you snowboard?
well, it's been a while. The last place I snowboarded was in the great mountainous state of Indiana.
Oh, wow. How about them apples? I was thinking you'd pick somewhere else, but okay.
Well, we've got
6
we've
foot
got-
vertical.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a trip planned to Sweden because they've got some nice mountains up there. So
Nice. You should come to Denver and we'll go skiing in the mountains out here this winter.
I'll just bought my ticket.
Yeah, buddy.
Done.
Nice.
Look
All
at
right.
that.
That was nice. I hope I'm invited. All right, number 4.
I've seen you on skis.
Yeah, you don't want to see me. I will sit in the lodge or the chalet, is that what they call them? And I will drink
Chalet.
my peppermint hot chocolate from Starbucks, and I'll be enjoying that. All right, number 4. What do you believe sets apart successful real estate investors from those who give up, fail, or never get started?
Again, I probably sound like a broken record, but it's team. To me, it's like, who do you have around you? You're the average of the 5 people that you most associate with. I just think it's all about people. It's not about the property. It's about the people. Like, who do you have around you? Who's your team that's managing it for you? Who are the people that you're advising to? Do you have people that are actually telling you the truth, or do you have people that are just telling you what you want to hear?
It's a great one.
So it's all about, who are you surrounding yourself with?
I love
Awesome. All right, Seth, before we let you go, where can people find out more about you for those of us who have been hiding in a cave, or me? And how can people connect with you if they want to do that regarding real estate or music?
Yeah, so I'll talk about 2 things. The first is our investors group. You talked about that a little bit. It's called Music and Money Investors Group. We don't really have much of a formal website because Facebook is so awesome. So you can literally just hop on our Facebook page. I think it's just Music and Money Investors Group, and you can message me there. I usually try to answer on that, and you can hear more about our upcoming groups. It's always first Wednesday of every month. It's free meetup. And then on the music side, it's just fullcirclemusic.com. So I guess if there's people out there that are interested in learning more about what we do on that side, fullcirclemusic.com. That's where you can find us.
And where do I send my demo tape to? Because I got this thing recorded. It's really good.
Yeah, about that.
Josh is doing background vocals on it, so it's really good.
Do you really want the answer to that? Because we actually do have a demo submission today.
Do you really?
Yeah, share it. You might as well.
Share it. Might
Why
as
not?
well.
Yeah, just send it to support@fullcirclemusic.com. And we really do try to go through. We have several people that listen to demos regularly. So who knows? You may have the next huge rock star out in your audience.
We do
might.
get a royalty on any music
There
You
we
do.
go.
that comes through BiggerPockets. There you go. There you go. All right.
I think that's great. Anyway, I love it. So, getting out of
Seth,
here.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it. I certainly regret not having gone down to Nashville or trashing your email, whichever is the truth. I'm not quite sure, but thanks, man. Really, really do appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun.
Well, the invitation still stands. I'd love to have you both come at some point. So whenever you're, have your free time, which you have, I'm sure, a ton of.
Yeah.
There you
Let
go.
me check my calendar.
I love it.
Awesome, man.
Thank you,
We'll
Seth.
fly out. So
That's awesome. We'll see you guys later.
All right, guys, that was Seth Mosley. Big thanks again to Seth. Man, that was awesome. Really, that was a good show.
That was a good show. I love that guy. He's, like I said, one of my BFFs. So yeah,
Wow.
I learn a lot from Seth. Every time I talk to him, we talk every couple of weeks, and we just, I don't know. I learn every time I talk to him cool little things, like his little advice on, like, you know, if you wouldn't buy it again, maybe you shouldn't keep it. Like, he told me that, and I was like, you're right. Like, these properties were good to buy they taught me a lot, but now I'm going to get rid of them because I wouldn't buy them again. And it just clears up my head for the actual good purchases. Yeah.
Well, and if you think about it, so many people perseverate over things like that. I know that you and I have talked about one or two of your properties that you hold on to, and you're like, yeah, I don't know why I keep it, but I got it, and like,
I'm selling them.
Sell it, right? I mean, why not?
The tenant is out today, supposedly. Actually, from both of my kind of held properties, tenant is leaving today. Tenants are leaving, so we're listing it
There
next
is
week.
something nice about letting go of a held property.
It is. I know.
It's cathartic.
I'm very excited. By the way, last Friday I put a house on the market. I flipped one and I put it on the market, and within, just shows how crazy our market is. Yeah, within 24 hours or 12 hours, we had two offers came in, both full priced. One cash, 2-week closing. Like, they just want it. And now I'm like, I should have gone higher. But it's a very cool thing to be able to sell properties and be in demand.
I got to tell you though, like, I had a conversation with my parents recently, and they've got a property they're trying to sell, and it's been like a month and they haven't had a lot of showings, and I'm like, guys, if you're not having a lot of showings or you're not getting any offers, you're probably not being aggressive enough with the price.
Yep.
And like, your parents don't ever want to listen to you. They don't. Never. It's like, no, come on. So got into a big argument with my mom, and now I feel terrible about it. But still, it's like, you guys listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Like,
That's funny.
The market is fantastic. Like, you've got to be a little more aggressive with your price. Now, you don't have to. You just may not sell it.
Yeah.
Or you'll have to do drop price reductions, which are never good for. They're just not helpful.
Yeah, if you're not selling in today's market, it means you're way too expensive, because everything sells in today's market. So
yep.
Yeah, it should be a good indication that something's wrong. I got a buddy.
All right, Brandon, maybe she'll listen to you. Tell her.
I will tell her. Josh's mom. Is that a good accent?
Yeah, that was pretty good. That's good if she lived in Boston.
What's the difference between a Boston and New York accent?
New York. Hey, how you doing? Versus like, don't fatten the pack and the have it yet.
Okay, good to know. I've been trained on New England accents. Good. Well,
so let's go.
I'm not going to even try. All right.
Well, you don't have to mimic her. Just
Josh's mom, listen to your son. He's a smart guy, despite what everyone says.
This is the only way I can get to you, Mom.
All right, let's get out of here, because we got another show today. Actually, we're going to record right after this. So
right on. Good show. All right, guys, thanks for listening. Show 230 of the BiggerPockets podcast. You could check out the show notes at biggerpockets.com/show 230. With that, I'm Josh Dorkin, signing off.
You're listening to BiggerPockets Radio, simplifying real estate for investors large and small. If you're here looking to learn about real estate investing without all the hype, you're in the right place. Be sure to join the millions of others who have benefited from BiggerPockets.com, your home for real estate investing online.
It's time for the Random 5. Today's Random 5. These are 5 random questions that we ask every guest. They're different questions every week, and we throw them here at the end of the show. It's kind of a, Easter egg. Is that what we want to call it? We'll call it Easter egg. Hidden track. All right. That. Yeah, I like that. So these 5 random questions that we're going to throw at you right now, Seth. Number 1, as a child, what did you want to be when you grew up?
I wanted to be an Ohio State football player.
Really?
Nice.
Even though that's like college, so I don't even know if you can technically be that when you grow up. But I wanted to just do that as my career, be a college football player.
Nice. Just keep flunking out year after year.
Exactly.
Very cool.
All right. Next question. Whose mind would you most like to read?
I don't know. Is it cliche to say Elon Musk?
No, that's a good answer. I thought you were going to say your wife.
Oh.
Yeah, that would be dangerous.
Maybe.
I don't think I would want to read that. Like you want there's a healthy amount of filter that happens in a marriage,
Yes.
and like
That is so true.
Yeah.
So true. All right. Next one. Do you know any magic tricks?
I know none, but one of our staff members is a magician in
No
the
way.
Brotherhood of Magicians. So if he
Oh,
was,
wow.
I wish he was here because he could do some amazing card tricks. So
who
I
is-
know none.
who is that? Do I know him?
His name's Asa. You might have met him at the group, but
I might have.
he's
Sounds familiar.
we call him Ace of Spades.
Oh,
fancy.
nice.
So-
Nice.
He hangs around.
Cool.
Sweet. All right. Next question. Let's go with, what TV show are you currently watching?
Man, we don't own a TV. We got rid of our TV like 3 years ago, so we're a little Amish like that.
Wow.
Are you a
But-
Netflix guy? You watch it on the computer? Not even that.
The only thing we have that we've watched over and over again is because I have a 2.5-year-old daughter, and it's the movie Trolls.
Oh, okay.
Oh, great movie.
So we've watched it about 47 times to date. So that's the I take it back. We haven't watched it on a computer. This Is Us.
That's
Oh,
a great
yeah.
show also.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
It's like my weekly emotional beatdown, basically. So
It's hard. We will go and we'll wait a week and a half between shows because it's like, oh no, this is too much. I can't.
it's
Heavy.
crazy. Just cry fest every
Yeah.
week. So
Pretty much.
I'm like 7 episodes in, I think. So I'm working on
Yeah.
it. Cool.
it's good.
All right. Last question. What is your favorite board game?
Oh man, I do love board games. Right now, I think it's this one called Ticket to Ride. Have you played that one?
I've not.
My brother-in-law is like a board game enthusiast, and so he goes to all these conventions and stuff. But this was like one of the top ones, I guess, from the last few years. So,
Sweet.
Ticket to Ride. Check it
Ticket
out.
to Ride. I'll check
Right
it out.
on. Right on.
Yeah.
All right, Seth. Thanks so much.